Today I am here, as Mark introduced me as, to talk about some books linked to litter. Now, some of the books that I've got here might be younger age than the pupils in your class or your colleagues are, but don't worry about that. The idea is that they can be used as a resource to talk about it and to maybe open up debates, get some activities going, and really just explore litter and what we can do about it in Leicester. So first up, I have The Hodgepodge Lodge by Priscilla Lamont, and this is a story about a family of pigs. I don't know if you can see those little guys up there. They are called the Pigwigs, and they are like us, like everybody's been doing in lockdown, buying loads of stuff online, grabbing everything we can when we go to the shops when we're allowed. But what's happened is that there's been a real build up of rubbish and packaging and just litter in the house, which is something that we're so used to being at home now. We're seeing that a lot more as well. So the Pigwigs, they're getting kind of overwhelmed by all these books, all these boxes and things like that that they've got around their home, but they're not that really bothered about it. They're just quite happy to order some more boxes and some more packaging and all that kind of stuff online and just let it take over. But then one day there's a bit of a storm and the wind comes and blows all of that litter out from their house into nature, into the garden, into the woodland near their house. And they're like, yes, this is absolutely brilliant. I'll show you a little picture. But obviously, litter out there in the world may be good because it's not in their house, but it means that it's out there for other animals and other people. And let me show you this one here. So we have the rat here. There's lots of different characters in this book, and if you can see from there, he's eaten some of the little polystyrene marshmallows, as he thinks they are, and it's not done his tummy any good at all. There's a fox that he's trod on some glass, so he's got a hurted paw, and all these different things. And it really explores through a picture book just the way that litter has an impact on the environment around us. Now, the Pigwigs, they've got to do something about this. The animals around them are not happy. I'm not going to tell you what happens because I want you to find this book yourselves. So that is first up, Hodgepodge Lodge. It's cute, but it's also got lots of things that we can think about, especially the attitude that the Pigwigs have and how it impacts on the animals around them. Next up, we have a book, and I've got a question for you with this one. So this is Clem and Crab by Fiona Lumbars. Did anybody manage to go to the beach this year? I didn't. I'm quite sad about that, but we all stayed safe, and those that got to go, hopefully you had a wonderful, wonderful time and had a little bit of a mini holiday away from home. But in this story, we have Clem, who's our little Clem here, and she goes to the beach with her big sister for the day. They go on the bus together. And what she finds on the beach is that it is covered in litter, absolutely covered everywhere they go. Like what we saw in the news over the summer this year when it was Bournemouth Beach, I believe, there was just stuff absolutely everywhere. Now, here's a little spread of the things there. But Clem, being a child, being optimistic and finding adventure in everything, she goes to the beach and she thinks that this litter is great. It's treasure. So she goes treasure hunting. I don't know if you can see from in there. All the different things that she finds are actually litter. It's rubbish. It's plastic. But she finds one very exciting thing while she's there as well. She also finds, if you can see him on that page there, a little crab. And this crab, unfortunately, has got all tangled up with the litter and he's all attached. You know, like when we hear about hedgehogs getting the rings wrapped around their head and things like that. This little crab has got his claws all tangled up in some plastic, and Clem takes him home and tries to look after him and make him better whilst tidying up. But my favourite bit about this book is that she goes back into school on Monday after she's been, and she tells everybody else about what she's found, and they start a campaign to tidy up their local beaches, which is just amazing stuff. That is people power, and that's what we need at the moment. And if you can see from that picture as well, she's also used all the treasure that she's found, all that litter, to make a collage. Now, I know you've got an activity later today to go litter picking, so maybe you could do like Clem and make something from that litter, as long as it's nice and clean and all that business. But get creative with it as well and reuse it, so we're recycling that litter again. So that is book number 2. That is Clem and Crab. And then book number 3 is Tidy by Emily Gravitt. If you love an Emily Gravitt picture book, you're going to love this. And also, if you love autumn, you're going to love this as well. So this is perfect. We're talking about litter. We're talking about autumn. I had to talk about Tidy because it is all about this little badger guy here. His name is Pete and he likes things to be neat. Yes, we love a pun like that. It's brilliant. And he's always forever tidying up the forest where he lives with all his animal friends. This is one of my favourite pictures, so I'm going to show you this very, very quickly. He is tidying up the fox by brushing him with a hedgehog. Don't try this at home, but it's quite cute and it makes me laugh. So Pete, he wants everything to be nice and tidy. Litter is a big no for him. But can you imagine what happens when autumn comes? He's tidying everything up. But then the leaves are going to start falling from the trees, so we can do loads of stuff in the classroom with this, maybe doing some art or looking into the seasons, things like that. But oh, Pete, he thinks this is the worst thing that's ever happened because now all these leaves are coming and he's got to pick every single one up to make sure it's tidy. And I'll give you a little bit of a clue of what happens next. He takes it a little bit further than he probably needs to, and he starts taking them off the trees, and then he gets even more serious than that. He starts digging up the trees. That's taking it a little bit too far, but the message is we need to keep our natural habitats as litter-free and as tidy as we can without interfering too much with those environments. So that is Tidy. And then the next 2 books I've got, they're more sitting down and reading. So we've got a chapter book and then a novel as well. So first up is Steph and the Sea Sprite. And this is a similar theme to Clem and Crab, but it's got really kind of active littering in it, which is, we kind of need that sometimes as an example, so we know not what to do. So we have Steph and her friends. They've gone to the beach for the day. They're just chilling. They've got all their snacks with them. If you can see there, one of them's just casually chucking a crisp packet over her shoulder. Somebody else will deal with it. I'm having fun. It doesn't matter. So that happens. She's there and Steph's feeling really awkward. She's like, oh my God, my friends are being really bad. They're littering all over the place. And then this Sea Sprite guy appears, if you can see him from there. He's an unusual character. He's got things growing in his beard. He's got like nets involved in his clothing and his outfit. And he is a sea sprite. And he comes to see Steph just as she's about to litter for the first time, because they're playing a game where they're throwing bottles into the sea and waiting for them to come back on the waves, which sounds like fun. But what if them bottles don't come back? Then those bottles are in the sea, and we do not want that in the slightest. So the sea sprite takes Steph into the future to show her what life would be like if everybody carried on like her and her friends are doing. And let me tell you this for now, it's not pretty. It gets a lot worse. So then Steph decides to jump in and make sure that doesn't happen. So this is a good book to kind of really think about other people's behaviour, and it's a bit obviously higher reading age than the picture book, so it can be looked at by slightly older children. So that is Steph and the Sea Sprite. And then I've got another very timely one for you here. This is The Accidental President by Tom Mclachlan. I don't know if you've come across these books before, but they are absolutely fabulous. And as we've just had the election in America, it feels like the perfect time to talk about this book. But it also links to environmental issues and litter as well. So let me explain. Our main character here is AJ. He is the best friend of the Prime Minister of the UK, who also happens to be a young boy, because this is a storybook. Anything can happen, anything is possible. So his story, Joe, is in the Accidental Prime Minister. So this is kind of like the sequel, but you don't need to have read the first one. So AJ being his mate, he's actually the Minister for Education, and he does some quite interesting things that your teachers will definitely kind of be sitting there going, huh, yeah, that sounds familiar, those kind of things. But then he decides that we need to get rid of AJ. He's causing a little bit of trouble. So he sends him to America to be the ambassador for the UK in the States. And it just so happens that he ends up on a TV show representing the UK. And alongside him, there is also a guest who is one of the people running for the new election. AJ gets a little bit confused, and because he's planning to do a fun run to raise some money to build a new recycling centre to stop all the littering in his hometown by doing this fun run. And he thinks, right, this guy's running, I can also run as well. So he says, yeah, I'm running. And it turns out that he accidentally makes sure that he's running for president in the United States, which is okay because he was born in America, and there's this whole thing about him. It's really funny right at the beginning where he's like, I'm American, and he dresses up as an American flag, all stripes and stars and all this kind of stuff, and he's like, it's fine, I'm American, I was born here. And everybody's like, nobody in America dresses like that, even slightly. Then this is one of my favourite bits as well. As you can tell, I really love this book. His opponent is a guy called Hank, and he looks very similar to somebody who's hopefully been dethroned from the presidency in America at the moment. And he gets really angry, and when he gets angry, he goes really red in his face. He's got crazy blonde hair. You know who I'm talking about. And this is what Tom Mclachlan does the best. He really kind of makes a joke out of real stuff that we can relate to, but he does it in a very kind of clever, innocent way almost. So this guy called Hank, he runs and owns a massive chain of coffee shops in America, and AJ's problem with him is that obviously those coffee cups are not recyclable and they are being littered everywhere. So the two come to blows as they're running for president, as we're going through this race, and lots of crazy, wonderful things happen. So it's a funny book, but it's also got those issues, and it's got that somebody who is actively trying to stop littering happening and help environmental issues through being the president of the United States, which is a crazily powerful position to be in, but one that AJ is going to hopefully be very, very good at. So that is The Accidental President. Those are